Okay. Hey, it's Leslie here.
And Des.
And we are here with Michelle Stevens, and we're so excited to have her here. She is such an amazing artist, and I was so lucky I got to be interviewed by her last week, which was awesome. And you can find it on her IGTV channel, which is Michelle Stevens Art. And so you should definitely go check that out. And you can find out all about me. But today is about Michelle. And Michelle is going to be one of our art instructors at our upcoming JOYfilled Arts and Crafts Summer Camp that we're super excited about. Yes. It's going to be July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And so Des and I were like super excited. We've been working really hard on it. We're so happy to have Michelle here and find out more about Michelle and her art and her beautiful studio and and her workshops that are coming up. So Michelle, take it away. Let's hear about you.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this event. It's really exciting, gathering people, especially after the last year and a half. That's been rough for a lot of people. I think it'll be a really fun way to just escape for a little while and just do something really fun. I know we can't all be together in person, but what's the next best thing? Doing it online. So I'm really excited for that. So I am an artist and I'm a creatively fit coach. And I help guide people to connect more deeply with their creativity, really as a form of self-care. And the way I kind of look at it is if you have a self-care practice, I know not everyone does, but I know a lot of people also do, but something like yoga or, having a healthy diet, maybe you like to go for a walk every day, the things that you do that help you ground, clear your energy, help you release emotions, all of that. I like to do that with painting. And so that's kind of my thing. And that's what I really love teaching people because I think it's a really powerful tool to help you work through stuff that's going on in your life. It could be good things, bad things, really challenging times. I have personally used this art practice for celebration. I've used it for working through grief. I've used it to help bring more of what I want into my life. And so I think it just encompasses like a broad spectrum of things, but all in all, at the root of it, it is what I consider to be a self-care tool. And so, that's what I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about teaching people this. I've been painting with acrylics since about 2016. I started dabbling in creativity when I was like in my 20s, but I went into a full-time career working in the tech industry, and I kind of just let that side of me fall by the wayside. And it wasn't until around probably, and I had taken classes, we have a local art academy here. It used to be called the Seattle Academy of Fine Arts, and now it's called Gage Academy. And so while I was working, I was taking night classes there and on the weekends, but I still wasn't really fully connecting to my creativity in the way I wanted to. It was just more like a thing I did when kind of there was nothing more important to do, right? And now I know like it is the most important thing I should be doing on a regular basis. But all that evolved and changed in around 2010. I went through a really difficult time in my life, and the more I painted, the better I felt. And I just kind of kept coming back to this creative practice over and over again. And at the time, it wasn't painting for me. Although I was dabbling in oils, which is like, nobody wants to see that. But it was fun, and it was an experiment. That was before I even knew acrylics existed. But I was sewing. I started sewing and making little pouches. And then I got into photography. And then I started writing. And so, all creative things. And I found the more I did those things, the more I learned about myself, the better I felt. the more grounded I felt. I was really able to become present in those moments, which meant I wasn't thinking about the bad things that were going on. I wasn't thinking about all the stuff that could, happen, the stuff I had to do in the future, like the things that I was worrying about in the past, like all of that just kind of goes away when you become present through your creative practice. And so I started to see the benefits. And like I said, the more I did it, the more I wanted to do it. And then I eventually got involved in a very creative community, which Leslie Solbest. And I met all kinds of creatives there, poets, writers, energy workers, everything you could imagine. And it just opened a whole new world to me. I didn't even know that half of those things existed. And that really became the fuel for me wanting to kind of dive deeper into this. And through that process, I met an incredible artist, Whitney Freya, who has since become my mentor. And in 2020, I went through her Creatively Fit coaching program. And if you had asked me like a couple of years ago if I would ever be teaching people how to paint, I would have said like, no way. This past weekend, I taught a workshop. I taught 100 people online. I just I just couldn't believe that was my reality. But I think the more I dive into the practice, the more I see the benefits for myself and the more I think it's worth sharing. And so that's why I'm here. That's a little bit about my background. And yeah, I'm really excited for camp.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love that. I mean, I love everything that you just shared with us. That just your journey, your journey just right up to the last weekend of teaching, 100 people online. And yeah, I met Whitney Freya. That is so cool because I met her at the Gathering of the Creatives. And she kind of does a community project there where everybody gets to come in and add their mark basically to this big canvas. And so that was really cool. And yeah, how fun. I didn't know that. So I know that because you also did a study with Flora Bowley as well, didn't you?
Yes. So in 2020, I mean, of all the years, right? Like before, all the stuff happened, I had already signed up for Whitney Freya's Creatively Fit coaching program and a year-long program with Flora Bowley called Fresh Paint. And both of those started, I think like late January or really early February 2020. And I mean, what a blessing, right? Because they help carry me through the year. And a lot of this, what you're seeing behind me, was generated through, through those interactions, through those courses. And that was, a lot of that was done in 2020. And it's really exciting too, because I went through Whitney's program, and then this year I am a guide for her current round of students going through the same program. And it's been, it's the joy I get from seeing the transformation that happens in people when they really start to tap into their creative potential is incredible. It's like, I just haven't had this feeling before in my life. And that's why I'm like, I just want to shout it from the rooftops, because it's available to everyone. And it just takes sometimes a little bit of encouragement to get people going, so.
Yeah. I love that. And well, one of your workshops that you're going to be teaching is sort of about how to get started, and correct? And because I found that, yes, camp is going to be a great experience for artists to come, because it's always great to open up your toolbox, see what other people are doing, different ways to create things. I know for myself, I get so caught up in painting on glass that, it's like, I sometimes have a really hard time trying to figure out, I'm looking at something like, you know, that blank canvas that I literally have stacks of and all the things because I'm a, you know, I'm a art supply hoarder. So I've got all the stuff, but then I look at it sometimes and I think, I don't know what to do. You know, it's not my regular thing. And I love that that's kind of one of the things that you're going to be doing a workshop on, just like how to get started. You know, what do you do with that blank canvas that's sitting in front of you?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest barriers for people getting started is that they gather all the supplies and all of that, and then they're now at the point where they're sitting down to paint and they're like, what do I do? And a lot of times people have an idea of what they want to paint, but their skill level doesn't match, that yet. And so they start to paint and then they get frustrated because they can't paint the picture that they have in mind because they're just not there yet. And what I tell people is, first of all, I show you how to get started so you can just get rid of the fear right off the bat and give you an easy way to start painting with confidence. But then I also tell people creating art is really a practice. I mean, that is why we call it a practice, just like we call a yoga practice, because you have to show up frequently, you have to put in the work, and you have to, have the desire to do it. And the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And then eventually when you sit down to a blank canvas, it will be like nothing, you'll have no problem getting started because you've been there, done it. And so, yeah, I mean, I was like you when I started. I bought all the things. I mean, I had like a closet full of blank canvases, and in every size. I wanted to just do it all, and I had no idea what I was doing. And part of the class that I'm teaching 2 workshops at camp. One is you can paint, acrylic painting intro, and then the other one is my Dream Big with Mandalas workshop. But the intro to painting one is, for me, my way of kind of demystifying like what it is that you need to get started and how to get started. Because when I first started my painting journey with acrylics, like there was so much information online, and I mean, I bought every book under the sun, and I still felt frustrated trying to get started because it just felt like it felt complicated, and so part of what I do is just try to just really simplify things and make it super easy for people to just dive right in. If you've never painted before, this is a great class. If you painted before and you are just wanting to dive a little bit deeper and create a deeper connection with yourself and your own creative practice, the Dream Big with Mandala workshop is a really good one for that. But both are really for all levels. Even if you painted before with like watercolors or some other medium, the acrylic intro class is a good class for everyone. Or maybe it's been, I know people who went to art school like 20, 30 years ago. They had big dreams for themselves, and then life happened and they had to like set it aside. And now they're coming back into it and they're like, they need a refresher. So it's a good program for that too.
I like what you said too, about, sometimes we have this expectation of what we want something to look like, when we're creating or doing art. And, like I like to tell people, it's the journey. It's about the whole process. It's not necessarily about what you end up with at the end, because a lot of times, art can come, it can come out of nowhere. This may be, emotions or feelings that you have, and it's a way to like really release that. And not all art is meant to be pretty. Some art is meant just for the person creating it and not, meant to put out there. And I think that, we often can get really hard on ourselves. Like, I want to make something, I want something pretty to put on the wall. And it's not always about that. Creating isn't always about that process. And also I had loved what you said too, when you decided to, or when you realized that making art a priority as part of your daily your daily ritual and how that really fulfilled so many parts in your life, you know, just sort of even that abundance of it, where, you know, you're putting things out there and it's sort of, it's meditative in a way, you know, you're kind of, you're putting this process out there and creating this sense of abundance or the things that you want to bring into your life. And I love the, you know, this circle about it is like you said that, and then, you know, coming up to you know, being able to share with so many people and having just done this workshop, you know, this ability to create that abundance with something that you really enjoy and want to share, and now are, you know, sharing with more and more and more people. That is just like really beautiful.
Yeah, I think so, you know, I've done this myself in the past. I used to write in a journal, you know, and before I started really getting into painting, you know, I was dabbling in painting a lot when I was working at my full-time job, but I knew that working in that industry was not sustainable for me much longer. Just, you know, I just felt like a part of my soul was crying out for something. And I didn't really know what it was, but, you know, I kept painting, like, and it's like I'm doing this thing that brings me so much joy. And at the same time, I'm like, I wonder what I should be doing, you know? And it's like, duh, okay. One day, it just like, you know, I felt like I just got slapped upside the head. I'm like, this is what you should be doing, you know? And slowly I just began making it a regular practice in my life. And like you said, it's not always about creating a pretty picture. I have hundreds, literally hundreds of sheets of like watercolor paper that, you know, look like, they don't look like anything. You know, there's no like specific shape on them or image or anything. And it's because I use painting, like you said, partly as a meditation practice. It's so much fun for me to just sit down here and get my paints out and put color on a piece of paper, you know, and I can do that for hours and hours, and you just get lost in it. And you know what I was mentioning earlier, that when you do that, you become present. You are so like, it's so easy to become engrossed in like, this pink is mixing with this blue, and look at that pretty purple it's making, you know, and it's dripping down the paper, and look at that line, and it looks so beautiful. And you just start to notice all the really small things. But it's powerful in that it brings you here, it brings you now, and you stop. You know, I've noticed, like, I used to carry a lot of stress in my shoulders and my back. And one day I was painting and I was like, let's check, you know, do the stress check, because every now and then you need to stop and just kind of be like, okay, where am I holding tension in my body? And can I release it? And it's like, there's no tension in my body, you know? And that is not, that for me, that wouldn't be possible without doing this practice. I also do yoga every morning, and that has helped. And I started that right before the pandemic. And that also turned out to be a blessing, because I did a 30-day challenge and I was like, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And it was January 2020. And what I found is I loved it so much that I kept going. And then COVID happened. And I was like, okay, you know, this is like the thing to carry me through, in addition to my painting practice. So anyway, but you know, it's a lot the same. It's like whatever you can do to just become present. And you're right, you don't have to create a pretty picture. And that's not the point, you know, and you don't have to share your work with anyone. I think we get really caught up in like, I have to create this beautiful thing so that I can sell it, give it to my friends, give it to my mom, you know, put it up somewhere in the house or something like that. You don't have to do any of that. And that's why one of the reasons I love and highly recommend working on acrylic or watercolor paper, because it saves space and you don't have to worry about like, oh, I spent a lot of money on this canvas and now it's like, it looks like nothing, you know? And so, yeah, so I have tons of those, and it's a great way to just release and have fun.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I would love to see some of your mandalas and how a little bit about that class, because that sounds super awesome to me. And like I was, I was telling Des, I was like, I want to take everybody's class when I'm not teaching my own. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to do that because I'm going to be required to do something else.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. Over the 3 days, like each day, people have the opportunity to create their own schedules. So there's each day there'll be 3 live virtual live workshops that they'll be doing, sort of a morning, mid-morning, and afternoon classes. So that's 9 live workshops that people get to choose from, but they'll get access to all 30. So that's probably what we're going to be doing, is that we're not going to be able to do too many live workshops, but we'll get to binge all 30 of them after camp. And so that I'm pretty excited about that part too. But I'd love to see, tell us a little bit about your mandala.
Well, I love that you're making the workshops available after the event ends for the ones that you couldn't take live, because that really gives people something to look forward to. You can stretch those out, maybe do one a week or something like that, or one every couple of days when you have time. It's so much fun. So this is one of my mandalas. I have a bunch of them.
So excited for this.
And let's see. Here's another one. This is one I did with my students on Saturday, and it was so much fun. If you don't think you can paint, I'm here to tell you you can. And you can create this. We created this in just a couple of hours. I mean, actual painting time was probably like maybe only an hour, with the instruction and all that. And this doesn't have to be a piece I hang on my wall, but really for people to see. But what I encourage my students to do after they take my workshop is to keep their mandala in a place that's visible to them. Maybe like you put it by the bathroom mirror, or you put it somewhere, by the kitchen or something where you can see it, to remind you of the process that we go through, and to remind you of what you want to release, and then what you want to bring more of into your life. And through this painting practice, we cover all of that. And yeah, so I have probably like 100 of these or so hanging around my studio and just tucked in different places, because they're a beautiful reminder of how we can achieve more of what we want and get rid of the stuff that no longer serves us. And we do it through painting. I mean, how amazing is that? There's lots of other kinds of work that you can do out there, and maybe you even seek professional counseling or something like that to help you. And you can also do it with painting, and it's so much fun. So yeah, and then I have an example. This is kind of an earlier, like unfinished one. I mean, they're never really finished. Like you can just keep working on them over and over forever. But and I don't know if I have. Let me see if I have any. So this is kind of like an early layer of one. I'm not going to get into too much detail because we're going to go over that in the class, but it's really fun, this whole process, and then kind of building on it. And so this is a layering process, but the 2 main things that we're going to cover are, what is it that you want to let go of, and what is it that you want to bring more of into your life? And you walk away with a pretty picture. So
that is so cool. I love that. You were going to say something. You had something to say? You were going to.
Oh, just about the with the recordings. It also is nice because with the recordings, then you can pause it. So if they're working on something, in a live class, you'll have maybe a little time to work on it, but you can't actually pause it.
Yeah.
And
for sure. And one of the things I recommend, so for my actual workshop, if you're doing it live with us, I recommend a piece of paper or a canvas that's about like 9x9 or 12x12. And the reason for that is because it's a lot of surface area to cover in a couple of hours. But if you're watching the replay later on, and like you said, Des, you can pause it. You can paint much bigger. I mean, if you have a big canvas and you want to do this on a big canvas, that's a great way to do it, because you can pause it and then give yourself more time to cover, to cover the canvas and stuff. So I have painted very large mandalas, and they do take a lot of time, but yeah, that's a beautiful way to do it. So.
Well, I think too, when we spoke last week, I liked one of the things that you said, because you had something up on the wall for one of your bigger pieces, but I like that you like to be in your studio barefoot.
Yes.
That you feel it.
I am right now.
Grounded. Yeah. So I was assuming that you were, because you're in your beautiful studio. So I loved that little piece of information about you. You know, it always makes you feel like when you learn those little secret things about people that you know, or you're getting to know, or you see, it always just makes you feel like just a little bit, that's one step closer in your connection. So I love that. I also see you could totally see like a book, you know, having all of your pages, like putting them all in a book or something like that. I could see that being like super cool. A mandala book. Oh,
You know, it's so interesting that you said that too, because I'm working on my first online program that's going to be available toward the end of the summer. But I was working on it last night, and as I was writing the content for it, I was thinking, this sounds more like it should be in a book, you know, than an online program. And I was just laughing at myself because, anyway, it's just, you know, there's so much that's about the painting part of it, but I really do sometimes think the painting part of it is the smaller piece of the puzzle. You know, it's really this tuning in process, and yeah, the painting is just like kind of, I guess, the mechanism or the vehicle that helps you, you know, move through. So
the journey. It's
about the journey.
Yeah, I like that. How it's like you know, I like rice cakes, but they're really just the vehicle for the good stuff that I want to put on them.
I saw one of your rice cakes once, and you had put like avocados and tomatoes or something on it.
Yeah, you know,
and then I tried it. I actually tried it because of you, and it was so good.
Well, Michelle, tell us where people can find you. So,
okay, so
we want to know where they can find you, what you've got coming up besides camp. Fill us in.
So the best place to find me right now is on Instagram, and it's at Michelle Stevens Art. I post there pretty regularly, and it's kind of a mix of all kinds of things, but I love, so for me, part of the creative process too is not just painting, but it's also sharing that with, you know, sharing that out, and that's like creating videos, it's creating photos, you know, it's all of that stuff. So I love Instagram for that. And if you go to my Instagram account, there's a link that gives you all of my other stuff, like my Facebook page. It's also Michelle Stevens Art. And there's a sign up for my mailing list. I'm going to start a newsletter to let people know what's coming up. Like I said, I'm working on online courses now. That's the direction I really want to go, because I want to be able to share this with as many people as possible. So, you know, I'm going to start updating people about that pretty soon. And yeah, so Instagram at Michelle Stevens Art, and also my Facebook page. But, you know, I'm more active on Instagram, and I'm more engaged on that than I am on Facebook. So trying to do more on Facebook, but it's not, I was a late adopter, and so it's harder for me.
I'm the opposite. I'm trying to, I spend, Facebook is what I guess I feel familiar with, like how to navigate through. And so I'm really trying to switch or make that transition to being able to feel that I can navigate well on Instagram. So she's supposed to be helping me.
It's all a learning curve. It's like the same concepts, but it's just, you know, it's a different tool, different things to learn. So yeah.
Well, awesome. Do you have any anything you can think of? I know we could sit here and talk to you all day, but you need to be mindful of your time. And,
well, I'll just say I'm really excited, you know, and I can't wait to share this with the people who are attending camp, because it's just going to be so much fun, and just that whole weekend in general is going to be a blast. So
yeah, we're
I'm excited.
We're super excited about it. And I thought it was interesting that you brought up how we connected was through Soul Dust, Camp Soul Dust. And, you know, it's just, I actually posted a little thing in there today, you know, about upcoming camp. And it was really more just how I just felt like, you know, Rachel Ford, the creator, she just really had this vision for being able to, you know, do this sort of transformation and connect people and create this community that, you know, I've really been missing. And, you know, I'm hoping that camp will come back. But for me, like creating our camp really sort of had that, it's what I thought of, like that was sort of my goal of my, you know, my standard of where I wanted to be, of like the engagement, the layout, the people. And it's about art and crafts and creating, but it's really about that connection and creating a community, and you know, being sort of just jumping full in. It's not just about showing up for the one workshop or whatever that you know, the workshop that you signed up for. It's like going to camp and meeting people and hanging out and doing all the things that camp has to offer. But I think that like with art, and Soul Dust, there's like a certain level of, it goes beyond just art and creativity, because it really sort of taps into, you know, a greater encompassing of life, really. So I'm very excited about it. And I'm excited that, you know, we had the ability to connect then, and as well as like with Leah Spitzer is going to be part of camp. Excited about that. And then also, even though Rebecca LaPointe's not going to be teaching at camp, she's been part of our artist markets. And, you know, I just feel super thankful to that community, and just what, for me personally, what I feel like it really opened up for me. So yeah,
and what I found is that these types of creative communities are often the most supportive. And so I would just say to anyone who's on the fence about like, I don't know if I can do the arts and crafts thing, like maybe I'm not good enough or whatever. Yeah, show up and let us support you, because that, you know, that's what we're here for and what we want to do. And yeah, I think you'll find just in general, the community will lift you up as much as possible. So
I love that. So, well, it looks like we're actually like kind of wrapping up on time, I think. We don't want, like I said, we can probably sit here all day. We might get sunburned, but you know, you probably have things to do, and you're a busy lady. So thank you so much for being here with us. We're really looking forward to camp with you and your workshops. I'm super excited about them. Actually, a friend of mine took your mandala class online, like during COVID. She said it was amazing. So, you know, that comes from the actual person I know. I wasn't just you just randomly put out there. This is like a, you know, she's like someone I know and talk to on a regular basis. And she said your class was amazing.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
All right. Well,
okay. Well,
thank you.
yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Stay cool. Yeah. Stay cool. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, Michelle.
Bye.